I think the BMF title was a brilliant idea. It was a brilliant idea. Listen, they did really, really good numbers. The Madison Square Garden looked sold out to me. When I got in there, it looked sold out. And I think the fans were excited for the BMF title. You know, I was there at the press conference, the weigh-ins. I mean, I think everybody was supremely pumped up. And I think, I wasn't there for the press conference during the week. I was there for the kind of like semi-press conference they had at the weigh-in. I think the place seemed really energized. And I don't think the BMF title is going away. I think that they're going to find a home for it in UFC. It's going to be one of those fights where, sometimes guys win the title and they're like, hey, I want to renegotiate. But it's like, no, you're already under contract. No, I'm not fighting until I get my title money that I want. I think those kind of fighters that are holding up the division, that don't want to fight, and they do exist. I'm not naming any names. And I understand why when you're champion, you want to make more money. I totally get that. I see both sides of the argument. I'm not trying to say which side is right or wrong. I think the UFC can be like, hey, you don't want to fight for the title? We don't care. We got the BMF champ. And the BMF champ can't pull one of those. He's the BMF guy. He's got to have that attitude to him that he's ready to fight anytime, anywhere, any place. And he's going to honor his contract. And I think that's where it was born from. I think that there was some kind of gridlock, when it came down to titles and dates and who wants to fight who and who will accept what. And of course, these fighters are under contract, but you can't physically grab them and put them in the cage and force them to fight. Okay, so when they have the leverage, like everybody in business, they try to squeeze out. I think that the BMF title could be at any weight, anytime, anywhere. They don't have to go through the government. They don't have to go through the commission. They could make it a 165-pound catchweight BMF title fight. They could do anything they want with that belt. It's not an official belt. From what I understand, it's not an official belt. I think it's a really smart thing because they're only going to give it to the guys who are game to fight right now. It's kind of like, hey, are you game? Are you fed up with the politics and just going to get in there and fight? You're going to make these fans happy? Is that the kind of fighter you are? And they're trying to breed that class of fighter. So one day there's going to be a guy who's going to hold the BMF title, the UFC title, and who knows, maybe a second title in another weight class, and he'll be the most famous fighter ever. The BMF title, however, is only going to be for a certain type of fighter. Those kind of fighters like Nate Diaz, Masvidal, they don't go in there and try to hold you down and play the points. It's not that kind of fighter. And I have nothing against that, by the way. If wrestlers win that way, they win that way. I'm just saying it's not going to be that type of fighter that's going to get the belt. And I don't think the fans will care. I think the fans will be very interested in the BMF title. Now, UFC said it was going to be a one-time and done deal. I don't think so. I think it's because it was so successful. And every time Masvidal fights until he loses, he's always going to be that guy. He's always going to be the BMF guy. So I think it's brilliant in its ability to create new title fights. Because look, like it or not, whenever there's a title fight on the line, the pay-per-view numbers go up, the ratings go up, I should say. Okay. People are interested when there's a title on the line. It adds more drama to the show. So I think the BMF title fills that need. But I think Costa has a good chance in rounds 1 and 2 to beat Adesanya. And if he doesn't knock out Adesanya in the first 2 rounds, he's going to lose. He's going to get beat up. I felt that he slowed down against Yol. I felt that he slowed down against Yol in round 3. Yol won round 3. And we've seen that Costa always gets knockouts in the first round, So he never really felt a 3-rounder. He never knew what it's like in a real fight. I'm sure he's done 3 rounds and more in practice. It's not necessarily the same when you're actually fighting, right? You have the crowd there, you have the cameras, your heart rates are higher than normal, you're nervous. What's a 5-rounder going to look like? He's never done a 5-rounder before. Now, Adesanya's been in championship fights outside of UFC. He's done Glory and all that. And I know it's 3-minute rounds, but 3 minutes can be really difficult, okay? Because you're working at a higher pace. So I won't just say that, three 5-minute rounds is the same as 5 5-minute rounds. It's not the same. However, you're still in deep waters and you still have that experience. Okay, and I think he has that experience to go in the later rounds and stay cool and keep his wits about him and use his technique to stay fresh in there. Whereas Costa still, in my opinion, this point in his career, hasn't done that. He hasn't figured out those issues. And I think he's going to find himself in a lot of trouble in the later rounds with Adesanya. He's going to come out really strong in round one and start to fade from there. Will he KO Adesanya in round one? Look, it's possible. Whenever you're doing that matrix style where you're leaning back like that, one good shot and it's over. We've seen it before. Okay, we've seen Chuck Liddell do that kind of style a little bit where he leans back a little and he's been hit on the button, and what happens? You fall over. So it's a risky style. Costa's definitely got the power to put him away, but in my opinion, it goes to 5 rounds, or it goes in the later rounds, and then Adesanya gets the win. That's my opinion at this point.